from superior to inferior. First, cervical vertebra, the C1 vertebra or atlas. The second cervical vertebra, the axis. Here's one of the remaining 5. Remember, there's 7 total cervical vertebrae. It's one of the remaining 5 cervical vertebrae. This is one of the 12 thoracic vertebrae. This is one of the 5 lumbar vertebrae. Okay, so how do we tell them apart? How did I do that? What was I looking for that allowed me to do that? Well, the atlas, the C1 vertebra, lacks a distinct body and lacks a spinous process sticking out the rear. So that's pretty much by the process of elimination. It's definitely a cervical because all the cervical vertebrae have transverse foramina. That hole is the left transverse foramina, that hole is the right transverse foramina. Transverse foramen, excuse me. So this is C1. This is the atlas. And by the way, notice how curved the surface is on each side. The occipital condyles of the skull fit in here. So this is superior surface. Turn it upside down, these surfaces are much flatter. So this is the bottom here. So here's the top. Here's the superior surface. Anterior, posterior, left side, right side of the C1 vertebra. The C2 vertebra, also cervical because it has those 2 transverse foramina. There's the right one, there's the left one. It does have a bit of a spinous process. It does have a body. It does have a more distinct body to it. And unlike any other vertebra in the entire vertebral column, it has a vertical process from the body, a vertical process extending from the body called the dens, right there. So the dens is only on the C2 vertebra, only on the axis. Here, there are 7 total cervical vertebrae. Here's one of the remaining 5. So it has a definite body, but no dens. It has a definite spinous process. Transverse process has a transverse foramen. The other transverse process has the other transverse foramen. So the presence of those 2 holes says it's got to be one of the 7 cervical vertebrae. But it's not 1, and it's not 2. So I'm only holding responsible for knowing. But that's number 1, that's number 2, and this is also one of the cervical vertebrae here. Now, 12 thoracic vertebrae characterized by attachment to the 12 pairs of ribs. So thoracic vertebrae are going to have rib facets on them. So take a look at the anterior view of this thoracic vertebra. You can see an indentation in here, and you can see an indentation in here. So this is a right side rib facet indentation, and you see a left side rib facet indentation. So one pair of ribs, you have one of the rib members, one of the pair attaching here, the other partner attaching there. So 12 thoracic vertebrae, each attached to a pair of ribs at the rib facets. So these rib facets are on the anterior surface of the 2 transverse processes. Left transverse process with rib facet, right transverse process with rib facet. Not cervical, there's no hole going through either transverse process, no transverse foramen, so it is not cervical. Also, getting it oriented properly, the spinous process should angle downward if it's oriented in the anatomical position. To do that, with the spinous process sticking up, that means it's upside down. Now it's right side up again. Here we have a lumbar vertebra. The lumbar vertebra has 2 transverse processes, but no hole going through either process, so not cervical. The other thing you look for is there a rib facet in the front of each transverse process. No, there's no indentation in here, there's no indentation in here. So the lack of the transverse foramina, the lack of the rib facets means this has to be a lumbar vertebra. And a good logic check for that is the 5 lumbar vertebrae have the largest bodies of all of the vertebrae. And again, the spinous process that sticks out the rear angles downward. So I'm now holding this lumbar vertebra upside down. The spinous process is angled up. I'm holding it improperly. So there they are. There are the 5. And The other things I wanted you to know were the various parts that I haven't mentioned yet, such as the vertebral foramen, in here. Let's see, the laminae and the pedicles. So, the laminae are the bony ridges that connect a transverse process to a spinous process. So this bony ridge, I'm gripping right there. I'm gripping the right lamina. I'm now gripping the left lamina. It connects the left transverse process to the spinous process, the left lamina. The pedicles join the body to the transverse processes. So the left pedicle, Ben, if you would hand me one of those pipe cleaners. All the plates, thank you. Okay, so the left pedicle goes all the way around. So I've got this pipe cleaner looped around the left pedicle of this thoracic vertebra. So again, a pedicle joins the body to a transverse process. So there's a left side pedicle and the right side pedicle. Laminae join the transverse process to the spinous process in the rear. And that's pretty much everything I assigned. In fact, it is everything for the vertebrae. Well, you need to be able to tell from the vertebral column which vertebra is which. Yes, you have to know them exactly. And I will not be using a color-coordinated vertebral column either for that purpose.
First 7 is the number vertebra 5. Sorry.
Yep, there's L5, L4, L3, L2, L1. There's T12, T11, T10, and so on. So it really is pretty, as long as you remember that thoracics, 5 lumbars. Then you've got this big fusion of 5 bones known as the sacrum, and bringing up the very, very bottom is the coccyx. So 7 cervicals, 12 thoracics, 5 lumbars, the sacrum, and finally the coccyx. Any questions? Oh, what about the
C1 and C2, correct?
C1 is the first cervical vertebra of the atlas. Yes.
C2 is the axis.
C2 is the axis. Where would a sacroiliac joint be? Sacrum and ilium.
Is here.
So there's the sacrum. Where's an ilium?
Right here.
This is the right ilium.
Yeah.
This is the left ilium. So what do we have in here? The right sacroiliac joint. What do we have in here?
The left
The
sacrum.
left sacroiliac joint. So where the sacrum meets one ilium or the other, you've got a sacroiliac joint.
They join to sacrum articulating surface. Right?
Yeah, the sacrum articulating surface. That's exactly what that medial surface of the ilium is called. Yes, which I don't recall assigning. Did I assign that? I did? Mm-hmm. Wow.
The what?
I'm a bastard.
Wow.
Not this thing, but an individual articulating surface right here. So this is part of the right sacroiliac joint. So the right side of the sacrum meets this surface of the ilium. This is the sacrum articulating surface of the ilium. Okay. Anything else? Spine? What, you want me to do the whole thing?
Yes.
Okay. So a coxa, left or right, is a fusion of 3 bones. Ilium, complete with the sacrum articulating surface. The pubis, right here, which is the anterior bone of the 3, and the ischium, the posterior bone of the 3. So I'm sitting on my 2 ischia right now, just like that. So they are fused together. You can actually see the sutures where they fuse within this big fossa, the acetabulum, right here. Let's see. And you were mentioning the ischial spine, so this is still part of the ischium. The ischium actually stops up about here. Let's see. So we have the, we have the iliac crest all the way across the top here. We have, since the pubis is in front, we have the anterior superior iliac spine, the anterior inferior iliac spine, the posterior superior iliac spine, and the posterior inferior iliac spine. What do we have in here? Greater sciatic, greater sciatic notch, And then here,
Last.
the lesser sciatic notch. What does this hold?
Oblate. I can remember.
Obturator foramen. Obturator means plugged up, filled up. So in life, there's muscle running in here that tends to obscure the fact that it's a hole. What is this rough surface on this ischium? Ischial tuberosity. Remember, a tuberosity is a rough surface of a bone that a muscle attaches to. Which muscle do you think attaches to the ischial tuberosity? What am I sitting on? My glutes. So the gluteus maximus muscle joins to the ischial tuberosity. Okay, I think that's it. That's it for this.
Where is the ischium
Acetabulum?
ramus? No, ischium ramus or RUD?
Nuts is essentially, ischial ramus is essentially right there. So ischium extends out of the ramus here. The pubic ramus, let's see, we actually are showing the pubic ramus on here. Ischial ramus.
We don't remember this one.
No, you don't need to worry about the
Okay.
ischial
So
ramus.
don't worry about it.